Hi, Prakash.
Hi, David. How are you?
You're good. Yeah, I'm glad to see. So you had no problems claiming host?
I just followed your instructions and
And it
used
worked?
the key that you provided.
Oh, great, great. Nice. Yeah, I just wanted to confirm and double check that it all works. So great. Glad to
Yeah,
see.
it worked. Yeah,
And
it worked magically.
nice. And I see the recording's going. Nice.
Yes, it just said it's going to record. So do I have to say to everybody that this is getting recorded, or is it expectation that people already know that it's getting recorded?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, we do recommend that you would tell people, and then we have an antitrust policy note. I'll send you that too. So just usually that it's just good to set expectations for everybody when they dial in. So just yeah, it can't hurt to mention that to people so they
Sure.
know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So I'll send you that
Okay.
antitrust policy note too.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So just wondering if you got a chance to send the slides for the last call that we can. I did.
Yeah, I send it out to everybody. Uh-huh.
Okay, so am I supposed to receive it as well?
Did you sign up for it depends on if you signed up on the meetup page or not.
Yes, I did.
You did?
Yes. And I
And
don't think I got the
you
email other than what
didn't get
Mick
it?
sent me.
Huh. Let me double check. It may have gone to spam, but
Oh,
I'm
I see.
double
I
checking.
never, so I usually get your emails.
This would have gone through the meetup.
I see.
Yeah, so I sent two emails. I sent an email the day before to send people the dial-in link, and then I sent it, yeah, I'm looking on the 16th, I sent it out with links.
I see. Okay. Interesting. Okay, I can check somebody else. I'll ask somebody else who registered.
Yeah, here, let me send you the subject line. Maybe you could search for it or subject.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I guess there was an issue with the send, but and we can do more to promote this meeting now that it's getting up and running. We can.
Okay. Yeah, it's already 1 minute overdue. Interesting
Yeah,
that nobody has joined. Hmm.
yeah, we can wait a couple more minutes, and I need to drop off in about 5 minutes
Okay.
anyway. But yeah, I wanted to dial in to see if anybody would join, and then yeah, we can certainly do more to promote it.
Hmm. Okay.
So I can do that. I can follow up with you and Mick. I can send you the antitrust
Yeah.
policy note and then some
Yeah.
thoughts on what we can do to promote it
Yeah.
more.
Yeah. Yeah, so is the idea that before even we migrate or even like up level PDO to an incubation project, you need to see a sizable participation from the community? Is that an expectation? Is that a requirement, or I'm just asking because we never had this PDO community meetings in the past. Not because we didn't want to, but is it really tied to the idea of going ahead with this incubation proposal?
I think the having the active community and kind of a diversity of maintainers, that's more for the graduation level. So
Hmm.
no, I don't think there's an expectation that an incubating project would have
Okay.
much.
Okay. Hey, Bruno. Morning.
For an incubation project, you're just getting started by
Yeah.
definition, right? It's a new project. So yeah, I don't think the TOC is expecting.
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
showing that you're willing to, I think showing that you're doing steps to engage with the community is important. Like you've done the
Hmm.
meetups, you're doing the call, and
Hmm.
I think that's important.
Hmm. Hmm.
And hey,
Yeah.
Bruno, thanks for joining.
Yeah. So
Hi,
Bruno
David
works.
Prakash.
Yeah. So Bruno, I don't know if you both have met.
I think we interacted a few times. Yeah.
Okay. Good. Yeah.
Yeah, Bruno, I'm curious, how did you hear about the call? We were just talking about
Uh,
what we can do to promote this more.
Well, actually, this was promoted by Prakash
No, no,
at this
because
point.
we work in the same org, right? So
Oh, okay, okay, great.
he's part of Intel, yeah.
Oh, great, great.
And
Okay.
he's also an architect of the private data object project.
Oh,
So
nice. Okay, cool.
he is even more involved with than I am, to be honest with you.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah.
Well, it will take some time. I mean, since it's a new call, I mean, it will take time to get people
Yeah,
to put this on
yeah.
the calendar. But I'll put some thoughts together and send it over
Sure.
to you and Mick about what promotions.
Sure. Hi. Did somebody join? Palm?
Yeah, Palm, you're muted if you're trying to speak. So
Oh,
Prakash, I
Palm.
do need to drop it.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll follow up with you.
Sure. That's
All right,
good.
great.
Yeah. Bye bye.
Bye.
Yeah. So okay, Palm. I see that you just came to listen. Thank you. So thank you for joining. Anyway, so my name is Prakash. Yes, me and Bruno both work on the private data object about which we are having this call, right? So just for information, this call is being recorded. So maybe Bruno and Palm, we wait for a little bit more to see if anybody wants to join. Is there any way you can talk, Palm? Or just to understand where you come from and what you see your interest in private data object, if you already know about it, or in case if you have like other blockchain, I mean, just to understand in general. I see. Hey, Marcella.
Good morning.
Morning.
Yeah, Marcelo.
So do everybody see the chat? We have an external participant, Palm, who only wants to chat.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I mean, maybe 1 minute or two, we can go through the agenda.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, so what application area have you been thinking for a pilot, right? So I don't know if did you join for the call on Tuesday where we discussed PDO and its application, specifically exactly, right? So you were there, right? So we showed application around how PDO could be used for prescribing policies and how to use high value assets such as ML models, right? So that is definitely one of the pilots that we want to do. And we are also working on things like software supply chain, digital identities, and things like that. But you know what? We are actually open. So we would love to work on an application in the open source. Of course, we also have like other internal only like applications which we cannot discuss here. But for pilot, we would ideally like to do something which is of interest to the open source community here. So do you have anything that is of interest to you, Palm? I see. Physical supply chain project that was tried, but that failed. Okay. Yeah. Okay. We will take a look at that. I'm not specifically aware of the TradeLens project. Yeah. So the idea is to put together something that is of interest to this community here, right? So feel free to yeah. So what do you think about the demo that we did on Tuesday about trying to use PDO as a means to specify and enforce policies for deploying high value like ML models itself? Yeah, I mean, honestly, Pom, it's a bit hard to understand what exactly you're trying to tell me on the chat. Are you still talking about the pilot project that was done between IBM and Marsec? I don't know how to pronounce Marsec. I know it's a shipping company. Yeah. Or are you talking about the demo that we did on Tuesday? I'm talking about the PDO and the permissioning structure. You mean permissioning? So can you slightly elaborate on the permissioning requirements that you're thinking about? Oh, I see. So for access to the token assets, right? So permissioning, yeah, that, yeah. So, oh yeah. So yeah. So do you have a specific use case for that architecture? Let's say that we have the general architecture that allows you to make PDO-based tokens to give permissioned access to assets. What is your use case in terms of the asset and how the assets get used? Do you have an example of a specific policy that you would like to see implement in PDO? Um, yeah, that would be totally helpful. Yeah, if you could unmute and talk. Marcella, Bruno, feel free to chime in.
Sure.
Are you talking, Pom? No, I I cannot hear you. Anybody else hear Pom?
No, unfortunately
No.
not.
Wow. Welcome back. No, we cannot hear you. At least I cannot hear you. Okay. So do you want to just introduce yourself, Palm? I mean, where are you from? Or like any org where you work for, and that'd be really helpful. Even if you want to touch base later, any contact information, if you might want to share that, so that we could even touch base later. Yeah, okay, so yeah, so Marcela, Bruno, given that nobody has joined, is it time to end the call? I don't think there's a point in continuing just with the three of us.
Yeah, I think that makes sense to me.
Bruno?
We can discuss the PR.
That's a good idea. Do you want to bring it up and discuss it? Or I can share the screen if that helps.
Let me see. Maybe I can share directly.
That's a great idea. Thank you.
Give me 1 second.
Yeah, so are you suggesting that we use the time to discuss things about video?
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. No, I
you're
like that.
okay.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. Perfect. Absolutely.
We're already here, so.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no, that's great. And I didn't think like that. Sorry.
uh, Screen.
So you don't want me to follow the agenda that we had originally, right? That doesn't make sense.
Well,
No,
you are
not for
leading
us.
here, so
No,
I'm
no.
just
I mean,
promoting.
I'm not. I am the facilitator here. This is what I've been told by both David and Meg, that I'm the facilitator, but engage based on what the community wants for the meeting. So that is a proposal for an agenda, but if the agenda, the agenda can always change based on what people in the call wants.
I would actually say that you should, even as a facilitator, people still will look to you to follow the agenda, right? And if you have like time for extra topics, then
Yeah.
take those, but you don't want people to derail your
No, I agree. No, I totally
agenda.
agree. If there are people, if there are like, let's say 10 people or even 5 people, it totally makes sense to stick to an agenda, like unless there are like strong oppositions. Yeah. Okay. So.
Okay, so let's go through this PR quickly.
Okay.
So the PR again is to enable the test in SGX Ardor mode, which were not working before. And
So I'm sorry to interrupt you. So is this for Docker, or even without Docker, are you saying that like hardware mode did not work?
so this is for Docker. It's for Docker Compose mainly, but there are various modifications that you need even outside of Docker.
I see. So are you saying that without this PR, even on bare metal hardware test would have failed as of today? Did
even
you
on bare
make
metal.
test- Did you
think-
make test on bare metal?
I didn't test on bare metal,
Okay.
but it's definitely possible that they would have failed.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. Okay.
And yeah, I will highlight a few things here.
Sure.
Okay, so maybe let's go top down and that's it. Okay. All right. So first thing that I noticed was that basically the SGX mod environment variable was not passed to the Docker containers during the build, and so this was a problem, and I've tried to fix that. In Docker Compose, one thing that was missing, and we discussed this before, was the the mount of some volumes, and particularly of the device. And we also knew about this, and this was in previously it was already in the code in PDO, and then this was dropped after the overall. So nothing particularly complex here. Now, during the build, there was a problem with the enclave signing key, particularly because it uses this weird path. Well, it's not weird path. It's a legitimate path. The thing is that this PDO-SGX key root usually points to the transfer folder, but the transfer folder is something that added to PDO and is meant to be mounted through Docker Compose volumes. And if you just use Docker build, this folder is not available, and so this, the use of this file fails, essentially. So for now, since the key that we use is ephemeral, I decided to basically move it to the temporary folder for now.
So are you saying that I cannot use as of now a key that I already have, or so who
That's correct.
generates the key?
You cannot use right now because we generate that.
Oh, so there is not even an option for me to provide a key that I have.
No. And depending on the use case, this could be an issue to be described and later addressed.
So this key is the MR signer, right?
This should be the MR signer, yeah.
Okay.
That is correct. So for now, this is generated at each build and used. Okay. So one more thing that I changed was this ledger port and the address in run services tests. So we already have the URL, but here I needed to make sure the address, the IP address and the port are actually available. This is because these run services test, if I recall correctly, should run the register with Ledger. At some point, but I don't see that. Yeah, it has this build register. So in order mode, it registers the policy with the ledger. And the thing is that it uses this script register with ledger, and later it calls the register enclave attestation verification policy. Now, to interact with the CCF, this needs the IP and the port of the ledger, not the ledger URL. And so for that reason, these two values are exposed in run services test directly. So, okay, this is very technical, but the big problem here is that PDO ledger URL is something that is set globally for the project and is user facing. And in fact, this is one of the variables that is documented in PDO. But multiple times we use the IP address and the port instead, and we need that because of CCF. So we need to understand whether these address and ports should become user-facing variables, something that should be set by the user, or if we simply derive those from the ledger URL.
I have two questions here, Bruno, just to understand the architecture here. So first of all, this is so even before you register the attestation with the ledger, you have to generate the code, right, by contacting IAS, right, at least in the current architecture, right? So, and for that I need IAS key material and all, right, for me to request IAS for a code or a report rather. So how do you, so is that call being made from inside the Docker container, the services Docker container? And if so, like how does the container get the key for IAS?
The key for IAS. So that's during the build process, if I'm not wrong, because we need the key to basically fetch the certificate. Well, that key is the certificate, is the IAS certificate that we need to verify attestations. So we need that already at build time in order to build the crypto library. So that's something that is fetched early on.
Wait a second. So, but the key is my key, right? So if I'm going to build, do the build, it's my key, right? Yes, the certificate is anybody's certificate, but to access IAS, I need a key that is unique to me, right? Because I should be subscribed. When it shows my subscription to IAS, right? This IAS certificate,
so there are three parameters. So one is the IAS certificate.
Yeah.
That is fetched here because we need to compile the crypto library. And later, this is copied or included somehow. I don't remember where the code is precisely. In the Xfer folder, and particularly here. Xfer services keys SGX. It will be inserted here. And then the Xfer folder is mounted in the container, so that will be available. The other two parameters are the speed and the API key that you need for, well, you need the speed for the attestation, to get the attestation, to get the quote, and then you need the speed and the API key to contact IAS.
Yeah.
In this case, these two parameters are supposed to be found even in this folder here, SGX, in some files, which should be documented somewhere. Yeah, something like this.
Okay, so basically this is a folder that is mounted when the Docker container runs.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. That was the first question, and I think my other question that you are so the registration with no, yeah, I can't recall. Please go ahead. If I remember, I'll ask.
Okay. So yeah, so here in the register with Ledger, the main thing was this was having the IP address and the port which are necessary for CCF. One more thing regarding this register with Ledger, and more precisely the call of this Python function here for the registration, is that we have this call in two different places depending on the SGX mode that is being used. So in the case of SGX starter mode, it is called here. And in the case of SIM mode, it is called within the CCF container when CCF starts. So that's another place. That's pretty confusing and hard to handle. And it's something that well, all the things that I'm discussing here are listed and described in these points in the PR. So ideally, this should be discussed. I think it's difficult to address this directly in this PR. So we may want to describe some issues, raise some issues, and address this later.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Bruno. I think we have a guest joining the call, like Elizabeth. Hi, Elizabeth. Welcome to the meeting. Can you hear us?
Affirmative.
Yeah. So, would you like to introduce yourself?
Thank you. Sorry, I just finished a boot camp, and so I'm late. But I am a front end developer starting out from a human factors engineering background with a biomedical engineering Master of Science.
Okay.
And I sell carbon credits. Well, I'm trying to develop a carbon credit NFT project.
Oh, wow, that's great. So, do you work for a specific organization? If
No,
you would
I'm
like.
not employed by anybody. I'm doing this all for fun.
Okay. Oh, that's great. So, and did you by chance manage to attend the Tuesday's call on Private Data Object where we gave an overview of the project, or is it your first intro to the project itself?
No, I was at that boot camp on Tuesday. Sorry.
Oh, so did you say you attended or you did not?
No, I did not attend that. I attended it.
Oh, you were at a different place. Okay, that's okay. So basically what we're talking about, so you said NFT. So basically what we are talking about here is a private data objects project, which is essentially a framework for the writing and deploying blockchain smart contracts, where the smart contracts can be safeguarded by hardware TEE such as Intel SGX. So and you said NFTs, and so it sounds exciting because a key pilot use case that we would like to do pretty soon is to see how the PDO blockchain framework could be used to define like TE wrapped NFT smart contracts for like high integrity and confidentiality of the smart contract itself, right? Including being able to manage high value assets rather than just pictures or artwork, for which confidentiality is probably not a big issue. Right. So are you are you familiar at all with PDO, or so what would you
No,
like
no.
from this call, or what would you like us to tell you to help you? What we were doing is, before you joined, we were discussing some of the outstanding uh, codes that we would like to. I mean, we were basically going through the repo and taking a look at the issues and things like that. We are going a bit too deep into the code base itself. But now that you're here, you can tell your expectations, what you plan to achieve from this calls.
Sorry. Oh, there, I'm in. So, well, when supposing I want to pin my own NFTs that are asset backed, and I want to make sure that they only go to certain people, that there's a allow list of people who can purchase them.
Yeah,
And I want to make sure, because they have to have already offset all of their carbon
exactly. Yeah,
before they can purchase mine, because mine are pure credits where they're Article 6 removals. And so you need to be able to prove. So I need an oracle that's not only proof of humanity, but also proof of carbon neutrality.
yeah,
And then once I do that, then if they have a lot of private data that they have to transmit to that oracle in order to prove,
yeah,
you know, their electric bill, their car payment, or whatever they have to prove that they're carbon neutral.
yeah,
It's going to be a lot of documentation, and they're going to want to keep all of those, all of that data private while proving
yeah.
that they have that data, that it
Mm.
pertains to them, that it's theirs alone and nobody else
Yeah.
can use
So
it.
so as of today, are this data, so is this the data for which you are generating the NFT, or is it the data that you're sending to the NFT smart contract as part of some policy check? So are you saying that the data for which you generate the NFT itself is private, or are you saying that
No,
Oh,
not necessarily. I mean, although I might, because if somebody says, well, I am a DYOR investor and I would like to research and get more documentation
yeah,
about your carbon credit to make sure that I can verify that it's actually a removal. Oh, would you like to send? So I can send videos, I can send photos, I can send, but some of it is videos of people,
yeah,
and I don't have their permission to send that video.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. So basically, you want yeah. So I think this is so yeah. So Bruno. So just before I get back to you, like Elizabeth, sorry to cut you off, Bruno. So so do you have further to say, Bruno, on this PR?
Yeah, but that was a good discussion actually. So other things here.
So your screen is so small, I can't even see it on my laptop. I cannot read anything on.
Okay, I can make it
I mean,
larger, I think.
I'm on my cell phone as well. I'm talking on my cell phone because the audio is better. But the laptop. Okay, now I can see, and now I can read some of it. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, we were discussing something related to the well, attestation software in PDO that should be fixed to make sure that it can run in SGX hardware mode. hardware mode means that you can actually use the SGX hardware to get the privacy and integrity guarantees that that PDO is meant to provide. Okay, so one more thing that I wanted to point out is was that in so the registration of the policy on the ledger works differently in the two modes, in simulation mode and in hardware mode. In simulation mode, it disables the the policy, simply because there is really no attestation to check. And in hardware mode, instead, it uses the policy. Now, these again, the script is called from two different places, and since this has to interact with CCF, it needs the keys. I'm not sure which keys precisely, but these are listed in the script. Now, the problem is that since this is called from two different places and two different containers, we have to make sure that in both cases, the keys are can be located. And in hardware mode, that's not the case, because the keys are in the Xfer folder. So basically, I added some more code in this case to make sure that it searches the keys in the right place, otherwise it will fail. And this is something, again, that should be discussed, because for the registration, we need to make sure to have a fixed location where to put the keys for interacting with CCF, and then make sure that the others can retrieve those keys. All right.
So I had one question here, Bruno.
Yeah.
So I saw that you had a register space build space register command as part of your run service test.sh, right? So and I suppose there is also another standalone Docker command to just instantiate the service without running the service tests, right? And so can you confirm that even when you just deploy the services container, it automatically takes care of registering the enclaves with the ledger? Because when you do that, you wouldn't be running the run services test script.
So, well, the script works. In that case, if you just use containers and you don't use and you don't use Docker Compose, you need to make sure of two things. First, when the attestation is necessary, that these are mounted. So
Okay.
the volume and the devices.
Sure. Yes.
Now, I am not sure, and maybe that is not the case.
Yeah, the question is registration handled?
Now, wait, give me 1 second. I think here, the Makefile. So here we have a way to run services, and like we always mount the Xfer folder, which is good, but here it's missing the the ASMD service and the device. So probably because of this, you won't be able to do the attestation if you use these run services instead of Docker Run instead of Docker Compose. And the registration also, I think, should be okay, because that's in a script, and needs collateral in the Xfer folder, and in this case, the Xfer folder is mounted. So
No, but
I think it should be fine.
question is who is invoking that registration script? Because in the past we used to explicitly make that call to the registration script, right? So like how does the container know that if it is hardware mode, it should make that call? Because even in your run services test, you are making that call explicitly.
That's correct, and it's I'm not sure that that is done automatically actually, because it's one of the steps that is necessary. We have it here in the Docker tools when you start the services. I think you have to run that directly.
Okay. Okay. So is it
Yeah, I don't think I see
fair
other
to
places.
say
No.
that there's there may be still unsolved things even after this PR to get PDO fully up and running in hardware mode? There might be, at least we need to test.
I'm not sure about that. I think we should make sure of and maybe document the exact flow for that. But basically, the run service test automates what should be done, and that's obvious because it has to run in the well, on the GitHub runners for the continuous integration. So the registration part is one of the manual steps, I would say. Now, if that can be also automated, maybe we should discuss that.
Okay, thank you. Do you have anything further on this PR, Bruno?
No, I will just say again that yeah, there are multiple points that this PR raises, and these are listed here, and some also you well, you mentioned also some of them, so it would be good also to list yours here and maybe open some issues for those.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much, Bruno. Thank you so much for explaining this. Okay, so can I share my screen if that's okay, just to get back to the agenda?
Yep.
So okay, so do everybody see my screen? I'm just showing the Discord channel. Like Elizabeth, do you see the screen?
No,
No, I don't.
it's a negative.
No.
Yes.
Now, yes.
You see my Discord?
Yep.
Okay, so just basically what I'm showing is, so basically Elizabeth and Bruno, if you have like anything to discuss about PDO, let's use this Discord channel to discuss, right? So like
Increase the
even
size.
the link for, I can just paste the link for this in the chat of this call. Okay, so
What is
please go.
PDO?
PDO is private data objects, and that's what we are talking about in this
But I
call.
mean, is there a specific meeting for that? Is there a special interest group at Hyperledger?
Yeah,
or
so
something?
this is a project. This is basically a research project under like Hyperledger Labs. So I'm showing you now its web page under GitHub. So github.com, like Hyperledger Labs / private data object. Right. This is basically the repository for the code. All of the code is open source. This is a project that's been ongoing for about 5-ish years. Right. And this has acted as the seed project for many projects such as Hyperledger, Avalon, Fabric Private Chain Code, like OpenFL, Governor, and so many other projects. So we have been able to influence so many other projects. But what we are now thinking is, instead of trying to just think of private data objects as a vehicle to influence other projects, we see value in uplifting private data objects itself to a complete incubation project on its own, right? And there was the intent of starting these community calls recently and starting to discuss more of the upcoming features and issues that we see and what people in the community would like to get addressed in open source directly, right? And so we also have, so this is basically the code for the infrastructure that helps you write, deploy, and test a blockchain-based smart contract on the private data object framework, right? Backed by hardware trusted execution environments. We have another separate repo for applications that you build on top of private data objects that is also in Hyperledger Labs, right? And basically, with some of actually the applications that have been approved for like open sourcing up until now exactly falls in the NFT space that you talked about, right? So, so I just want to show you a picture, right? So, give me a minute. So I'll just quickly flash the slide deck that we were talking last Tuesday. I will upload the slide deck into the private data object repository because anyway this is a public slide deck. So basically, this is how we envision that we could use private data object for spinning off like NFTs where confidentiality and privacy is a concern, right? So instead of using, basically, as of today, you would use a layer one, such as Solana or Ethereum, to mint your tokens, right? And that there lies your problems, right? Because it's a public smart contract and it's almost impossible to implement any privacy preserving policies, right? Including like even if your asset is kept confidential, like how do you implement and enforce a policy that is tightly bound to the smart contract or the like NFT smart contract, right? So that's a challenge. So to address the problem, what we are proposing is that you do an like L1 L2 architecture where the NFT smart contract resides in a layer 2 blockchain such as private data object. It need not be private data object, but this is a proposal based on private data object. Basically, so now that it is in L2, the advantage is that private data object L2 can be safeguarded by like hardware trusted execution environments. So I'm not sure if you're aware of hardware TEs, are you?
Negative.
Okay, so yeah, I could post some links on like hardware trusted execution environments such as Intel SGX, Intel TDX, SEV. So basically, it is a feature of Intel CPUs that allow you to run a workload while preserving confidentiality of data and the compute software, even from the host of the compute platform, right? And so nobody can see what is being executed or even the state of the compute, like unless permission is granted explicitly as part of the policy of the compute itself, right? Just to put it at a very high level from an application perspective, right? So I mean, so basically TEs are one way to do confidential computing. I'm sure you've heard the term confidential computing, right?
No.
Okay. Yeah, so basically it's
It's self-explanatory, right?
yeah, right. So usually, so there are confidential computing technologies that are done both with software as well as hardware. With software, you do there are things like homomorphic encryption, or like MPC or like secure MPC and things like that. And here we're talking about a hardware-based confidential computing solution aided by hardware trusted execution environment. Right, and their primary use case in industry today probably is in the blockchain space itself. There are other blockchains such as like Oasis. I don't know if you heard about Oasis network. Is a blockchain. It's a public blockchain, but that would support for authoring and deploying NFT based smart contracts. Microsoft CCF is yet another blockchain, which we also use internally as part of our architecture. So what we are saying is use a layer 1, layer 2 split architecture for NFTs, where the actual NFT resides in layer 2, and because of the use of TEEs, the smart contract is privacy preserving, and so it can store confidential data, key material, etc. And what that allows is tight binding between the smart contract and the asset environment. So the asset could be anything that for which you are trying to mint a token, right? So though the asset can reside elsewhere, but because the token object can maintain specific like signing keys, encryption keys, which you cannot store in like an Ethereum smart contract. So basically the token object can act as your oracle itself, right? And so it could have policy that gives the token object community ownership or like ownership to just the set of people that you want. It could be hosted by anybody, right? It could be hosted by anybody, but the ownership and the authority to operate on it resides with only a specific set of people. The data that goes into it is kept confidential, and that can store key material that you can use to establish secure channels with the services running outside the blockchain itself. So you could do a lot of things like what you were describing initially, where you have data and you don't want to give like everybody access to the data and things like that. So if I may ask you, so would you have a write-up of the use case that you might be willing to share on the Discord channel, and we can like engage there?
Yeah, it's already, if you do a search for green247.org, you'll find practically the only place you're going to find it is on Hyperledger at the, I did post it there.
Do you have the link? The green?
I do the search myself. GREEN247.org.
Yeah, 247.org. Okay.
And then if you search for that, the Hyperledger, with Hyperledger.
Yeah, 1 second. Trying to do that.
Green blockchain, there it is. I found it. Okay, so I'm putting link in the chat.
Okay.
On the chat. Okay, so did that work?
Yeah. So.
Oh, Discord channels? That's you. Oh, that's you. Okay.
Oh yeah, I just pasted the link of the Discord channel that I showed you. If you
Right.
remember.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so this is yeah, green
Green
blockchain.
blockchain. Yes, that's it.
Okay. Oh yeah. So
overview that has a lot of components to it. The one when I'm trying to connect the healthcare data repository, which has to remain private, with a blockchain, with an NFT for carbon credits.
yeah.
Any token, the token emissions network has a very long contract that might contain something in it. There is a specific role that an agent can take when they're using that contract, where they are the only person who holds that key and nobody else. It's a private key.
So are you looking for a blockchain framework that can support your use case? Is that right for an understanding?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And so you're basically looking to see if private data object can help you with your use case?
Yes, I'm hoping that it would help with not just the healthcare data but also and the carbon credit private verification data, but
Sure.
it would also help with people who are trying to swap those assets for a third asset, doing a three-way swap.
Absolutely. Yeah. I
Then
understand that. Yeah.
that third person's going to come in here. They're going to want all of that private data, but they have nothing to share. And
Sure.
so maybe they have their house, they want to sell the house to one of them and they want the carbon credits. And
Yeah.
the person with the carbon credits is willing to take the healthcare data to use that for research and clinical trials or something like that.
Okay.
So with a three-way swap, you have private information
Yeah.
that does really not belong to anybody else.
Okay. Okay.
And I was hoping that it would help with that.
Sure. So like, how could I or we help you use PDO to try out your pilot project? So we can definitely point you to the private data object repository. There are the details about how you would use it, install it, like everything is based on Docker, so it's very less effort to get a private data object test network running for your test and development environment, right? But that's probably way too ahead. You might want to start with something like an architecture for your specific use case and see if private data object makes sense, and feel free to share with us what your architecture looks like, and we can definitely help you fine tune your architecture for your use case if that's of interest.
Yeah, because I've never used Docker or Discord. So I'm out of that, completely out of that loop.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I do have to show up on Tuesdays at the climate action special interest group
Uh-huh.
next week. I
But
just got an
you
email
got
from
the
Stuart
Discord
Moore.
link, right? So if you use the link that you see above the link that you pasted, can you try going to the link? It will take you to a chat
Discord?
where,
I
yeah.
don't have Discord. I don't have the app. I
No,
I
it's
haven't.
not an app. It's not. It's on the internet. I don't think you need an app.
But but when I went to Discord one time, it said agree to the terms of service and privacy policy. So I didn't agree, so I didn't sign.
I see. Okay, so the way, yeah, so the way like Hyperledger channels or like various like Hyperledger teams interact in the open source is via Discord. So this is not something promoted by private data objects per se. So the use of Discord follows the policies of Hyperledger itself. This is not something dictated by private data objects.
Okay, but I do occasionally run a node on IPFS.
Okay.
I do. What else? Well, I mean, I'm using Remix right now to test out these NFTs.
Yeah, so maybe we have a follow-up call. So we have this call like every other Friday. So
Okay.
I mean, it would be very helpful if you could share your thoughts with with the larger forum, the next meeting, about what you are telling today. A little bit more details about the use case and what your thoughts are and what your expectations are. Is it something that you think you could do maybe for 5-10 minutes at least next time we meet?
No, but I can't guarantee. But I can see how I can help. And if you can interest other people in the health care and climate action groups, we can put together a team and test the system together.
Okay, so how do I reach out to you after this call?
Doesn't it say there on Green Blockchain?
Oh, I see.
I mean, my email address is all over my web pages, and I've got
Okay.
3-4 web pages
Okay.
linked here.
Yeah. Okay.
At the bottom of the page, at the bottom of my homepage, at least. Yeah, so I put all these.
Okay, so
Contact
yeah,
about.
so you have a link for the private data object repository in case you want to take a look at it.
Oh, the GitHub, sure.
Yeah. So yeah. So
Yeah, I sometimes I look up things on GitHub. I rarely ever put my code there.
yeah. So yeah. So go ahead and take a look at. Sorry, that's not what I wanted to share. Private data objects, right? And specifically the PDO contracts, right? So please feel free to share these two links with the team that you interact with and tell them that this is a blockchain framework that supports policy-based NFTs.
Good idea, thank you.
Right, and yeah, we can take it up from there if people are interested, right?
Oh no, I'm getting a Discord.
No, just ignore the top one. Just that was my mistake.
No, but the
Just-
second one has the Discord in it too. Oh, okay, it's just changed. Oh, I see. Great, thank you.
right. Yeah, and so yeah, thank you so much for talking to us today.
Okay, thank you very
Okay,
much.
so I think we're at the top of the hour. Bruno, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so
I guess we're done.
okay, we are done. Thank you so much, everybody.
All right, thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.